Welcome back everyone. The PFL number 10 2025 finals actually takes place, if I'm not mistaken, tomorrow, because I'm recording this on Thursday night in New Zealand and the card is on Thursday night in the United States. So I do believe that this card is probably starting in less than 24 hours, but I had to get these predictions out. I know that I am later than I said I was going to get these done. I said I was going to get them done yesterday, but honestly, guys, I had a massive report due, and I just decided to do that yesterday. It ended up being 37 pages, so that's pretty big. That's the biggest report I've ever written in my young civil engineering career, but hopefully I can get a good grade on that. I would be quite happy if so. We're nearly at 10,000 subscribers as well. Thank you guys so much for that. I don't really have anything planned for that. Unfortunately, the YouTube does not pay me enough to fly to Turkey to get a turkey job, so maybe that can wait for 100k. But yeah, 10 fights on this card. I'm gonna break down all 10 fights. You guys know the drill. WeWantPicks.com. Good news though, actually, I'm gonna do my Contender Series Week 3 predictions tomorrow, and the reason why I'm gonna be doing that is because I'm heading away for the weekend, so I need to get my picks out for that as soon as humanly possible. So Week 3 predictions will be out tomorrow for the Contender Series. I don't think I really said anything of substance in that intro. Let's just get into it. JP St. Louis takes on Tyler Ray. I am picking Tyler Ray to win this fight. Now, JP St. Louis is a pretty good BJJ guy, but I do worry about his chin in moments. I do worry about the safety that he puts himself on when he puts himself in bottom position. And I'm going to be honest, guys, Tyler Ray actually is a prospect that I was really high on in 2021. Especially when he was fighting for Eagle FC, I actually did genuinely believe in this guy. He got that win against Thomas Webb, and I thought he looked pretty good, and then after that, he has been on a big losing streak, but these losses, in my opinion, have aged relatively well. Even though Subnowski is on a losing streak, he still did give up a decent enough fight against Bisengo Susakayev, and Makoniko is now in the UFC. I think that Tyler Ray in this matchup can win a decision based on control time. He is a wrestler with a lot of top control typically, and I think he can out-damage the BJJ guy to a decision win here. So give me the underdog to start off the night. I think Murad Ramazanov is going to beat Josh Oliveira. Now, Murad Ramazanov, the reason why I actually picked him to lose against Aaron Jeffrey, I think that his style just isn't a good MMA style. Like, he doesn't do damage. He just wrestles. He doesn't do damage. I said that twice, but, you know, just gotta make sure the point is known. He really does want to spend a lot of time up in the clinch, spend a lot of time attempting takedowns, and aside from that, he's not really doing anything else. His striking can be non-existent at times. Now, he did throw volume against Jeffrey, but I think in this loss to Messiah by decision, he landed like 6 strikes or something like unbelievably low. It was ridiculous how little he actually did in that fight. And the thing about Silveira is he is a decently athletic fighter, but I think in hindsight, he was a lot better off at light heavyweight than at 185. He looked really bad. I thought against Fabian Edwards and even against Mike Shipman as well, you could kind of tell that moving down to 185 wasn't a great sort of move for him, in my opinion. And I think that Murad Ramazanov should be able to beat him, even though he is a former welterweight, if I'm not mistaken. But I think Ramazanov gets it done. Sergey Belistini takes on the former UFC fighter Carl Williams. I think that Belistini is just too athletic for Williams. Williams striking, it's okay, but it's not really fast in any way. It's not really very defensively sound in any way. Williams wants to wrestle. He 100% wants to get Belistini down, and Belistini's takedown defense is okay. It's not great. He can spend time on bottom position as well. I will note this, especially he did this against Moldavsky in moments, and I want to say it must have been the Fortune fight I was thinking about, but he did sub him because he does have BJJ at heavyweight, and he does want to kind of throw up subs from bottom position, which I would be surprised if Carl Williams got himself caught in something like that. But I think Belistini wins this fight by keeping it on the feet, defending the takedowns, and just being the faster, more athletic striker at heavyweight. And now we have Rasul Magomedov, a minus 2,000 favorite, taking on Guilherme Viana. Viana's a really odd situation to me, in my opinion, because he hadn't fought for 8 years. And then he took on Terence Jr. Jaquez, who was actually on a pretty solid win streak. And if he won this fight, he was probably going to go on to potentially be on the Contender Series or some sort of other big opportunity And Guilherme Viana, coming off a 7-year layoff, knocked him out in the second round. Both of those guys were gassed out in the second round as well when that happened, which was quite interesting. And then he got a very quick knockout to become the champion of Combat Zone. I wasn't actually really able to watch the full fights of these, by the way. I had to kind of just go on the Combat Zone Instagram and watch Instagram Reels, highlights of these fights. I couldn't find them on YouTube, but Viana seems to be a striker, and he's taken on a wrestler. Ruslan Magomedov's striking isn't very good, but he's a very, very good wrestler. He's also a guy out of KHK. My opinion on KHK has gone down since I made the video talking about KHK MMA, but he still did go 13-0 as an amateur, still won the IMMAF World Championships, and is now undefeated in his professional career as well. He's a wrestler, his striking is okay. He's going to go out there against Viana and attempt takedowns, and I think he does win the fight. And now Impa Kasanganay fights against Andrew Sanchez. Andrew Sanchez, what's he known for? Two things, in my opinion. The first thing is he was Khalil Rountree's friend on The Ultimate Fighter way back in the day. He actually won The Ultimate Fighter and fought and beat Khalil Rountree. Aside from that, what else is he known for? No chin whatsoever. This guy has no chin. I don't know how many times I can say that to you without kind of like really emphasizing it. This guy doesn't have a chin. He gets knocked out so much. You hit this guy, he's going to get rocked. He is a judoka, I do believe, which could make things interesting against Impa if he chooses to wrestle. But he's got no chin. Impa should knock him out. Impa's looked really, really bad in his last couple of fights. The loss of Dovlet-Chan at Yagzhim Murdov was really eye-opening for me. He got knocked out very quickly in that matchup, and then Fabian Edwards had a career performance against him, and once again, I was surprised. I thought that Impa was going to beat Edwards. I thought he had a good style to beat Edwards. Now he's taking on a chinny guy with no cardio whatsoever. He should be able to knock out Andrew Sanchez in this matchup. He should be able to go out there, defend takedowns, and kind of just be the better striker out of the two, in my opinion. And this is a very intriguing matchup, in my opinion. We've got Bryce Meredith taking on Lazaro Dayron, two incredibly high-level wrestlers at the 135-pound division. Meredith will be the bigger fighter out of the two. Dayron is quite small for 135 pounds, but his takedown defense is elite. He would have beaten Danny Sabatello had he not made a big mistake and got a point deducted late into that matchup. And Sabatello is a solid wrestler. Now, Bryce Meredith has the wrestling credentials, but in MMA, we haven't really seen him go out there and get tested against great opponents yet. And I think Lazaro Dayron is clearly a big step up in competition for him. Dayron himself actually did fight a couple good guys on the regional scene. You will recognize Manuel Exposito, who just fought on the Contender Series, as well as Danny Sabatello in the PFL himself as well. I do think in this matchup, Dayron is the better striker, and I do think that he has proven that his defense, his takedown defense, is probably good enough to defend Meredith's takedowns. Now, it's just kind of hard to tell how good Meredith's takedowns in wrestling is going to be compared to Dayron, because he has dominated opponents, but he's not dominated great opponents. And Dayron is a guy that I do consider to be quite good. I do worry about the size, because he is very, very small for bantamweight. But as long as the fight is on the feet, and as long as Dayron is defending the takedowns, he is the much better striker out of the two. So I'm going to go with Dayron to land more damage and win a damage-based decision. I think Dayron's actually the favorite right now. He's minus 140, minus 150 now. Meredith could be a very live dog, in my opinion. But I'm going to pick Dayron to win the fight. And then Alexei Pragande. I mean, this is a gimme for Pragande. He's taking on a BJJ guy. Again, Pragande, I don't really know what the PFL sees in this guy, because I actually don't really find that much entertainment in his fights. A lot of the time, he's winning by top control. Like, he gets takedowns, then just dominates in top control for 15 minutes. But then sometimes he's getting knockdowns, and then he just doesn't know how to finish a fight by knockout, like, by any means whatsoever. Ethan Goss was actually on a sick win streak before he did lose to Brady Huang, who was actually on the Contender Series in, like, 2019, I want to say. 2020. I mean, against Yanez, actually, as well, but yeah, my MMA knowledge ain't that bad, is it? You know, sometimes I get something correct. But he was on a solid win streak, and then he ran into, of course, a 2020 Dana White's Contender Series alum, Huang. But as I said, he's a BJJ guy. He's very comfortable spending time off of his back. And Pregande is a guy that's just happy to camp in top control. Like, I don't find that much entertainment in Pregande's fights, personally. He's very, very big for the weight class. I don't know. I don't know what the PFL sees in this guy, putting him on the main card. They clearly see him as a potential big star. I think Pregande wins a decision. Well, 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 if it isn't two guys that have proven me wrong throughout the entire season, huh? Now, in my defense, I thought Corley lost against Phil Davis, but we move on. And ACJ, I've been trying to fade ACJ because he's just not a nice guy. You know, there's a lot of bad things that ACJ has done. And I don't think that he's looked anywhere near the level that he was when he won on the PFL finals in, 2021, 2022? And I keep trying to fade him, and he just keeps proving me wrong. However, I don't think he's got the striking to keep up with Sullivan Corley. Corley proved me wrong in many, many different ways against Davis. Showed that he does have takedown defense, and he does have cardio, because they were my main two big concerns, of course, because you watched him go out there and he did lose to Luke Trainer, which you could maybe make some comparison to this matchup because he's taking on another grappler, but Luke Trainer's like 6'8" at 205 pounds. It's ridiculous. And I didn't know what his cardio was going to look like because all of his wins come in the first round. But ACJ, he's not as good at striking as Corley, in my opinion. I think he's even going to be smaller than Corley in there as well. And ACJ's takedown offense is really bad, and I think it's worse than Phil Davis's. So just by MMA mathing it out, I think Corley keeps it on the feet, and I think as long as the fight is on the feet, I think that Corley can land the damage on ACJ. Now, of course, ACJ is a former champion. You know, in hindsight, I didn't really have to beat anyone good to become the champion, right? But still, he is a former champion of PFL. I lost to Polizzi. Polizzi is a nightmare matchup for a lot of people, despite not really being that skilled. I also thought that if Carl Moore didn't have negative fight IQ, he actually would have beaten ACJ as well. That's what really annoys me, because I actually picked Moore as a dog. No, he's the favorite. Never mind. In this fight, and Moore he was attempting takedowns on ACJ. It was just really odd. I think that Corley, he's not going to be dumb enough to attempt takedowns on ACJ. I think he keeps the fight on the feet. He's the better striker. He's going to land more damage. Now, Oleg Popov takes on Romanov. I'm picking Romanov as the dog. Now, the reason why is I think Popov, he's just so one-dimensional, you know? Like, the thing about Popov that I don't mind about picking him to win or potentially lose fights is I know what he's going to do. His striking is very average, but he's going to dive for takedowns over and over and over again. That's all he wants to do, is dive for takedowns and just kind of control on top. I don't really know what else to describe his style as, because that's all he does. All he does is attempt these takedowns. And here's the thing about Romanov, guys. Romanov's pretty good. Like, yes, he did kind of pull off the groin strike meme sort of thing, situation to get into the finals. But, like, his skill set's kind of still there, you know? And this is the same guy, by the way, that, in my personal opinion, TNA'd Marcin Tybura at Elevation with the wrestling. Like, I still can't really forget about that round, that domination of wrestling that we saw in that matchup. And we've never really seen it again. It kind of looks like he's let himself go. But he's taken on a mirror matchup here. Genuinely. Popov just doesn't do anything on the feet, and he will just shoot takedowns randomly. I don't know if I can pick that against Romanov, where Romanov, you know, as I said, he's let himself go clearly, should be the better striker in this matchup. I know it's crazy for me to say that, but I do believe that. And I also do believe that Romanov should be able to, even at moments, out-wrestle Popov. Popov shoots the same style of takedown every single time, without fail. That's all he does. So I think that Romanov is the more well-rounded fighter in this matchup. It is 5 rounds, which is going to make things interesting, but Popov's not a cardio machine, in my opinion, anyway. So I think that Romanov should be able to go out there, end up in top position at one point, and the thing about Popov is, like, we don't really know what he looks like when he's on bottom, aside from, like, when Goltsov beat him. But Goltsov's good. Goltsov's pretty good, but I think Romanov beats Popov. I think he actually finishes Popov as well, by getting on top. Popov has kind of shown that he doesn't really know what he's doing when he's on bottom position. I think that we see Romanov find some success in that way. And we've got the main event. Fabian Edwards takes on Dalton Roster. I'm picking Fabian Edwards in this matchup. I thought that Roster lost to Jeffrey. I really do. I really do. And the thing about roster is his cardio's really bad, and this is a 5-round fight. And another thing about roster is he's very one-dimensional. He needs to wrestle, but he's very odd. He's got a very odd build. Like, he's not very big for the weight class, despite being jacked. I don't know if his Tapology profile picture... Yes, it does. This guy is absolutely jacked. Like, he's absolutely shredded. Look at him. But he's not actually very big for 185. It's such an odd sort of build that he's got going on. And despite Fabian Edwards being like a worse version of Leon Edwards, in my opinion, I think his takedown defense has shown to be pretty good throughout his entire career. I think even if he does get taken down and dominated in the first 2 rounds, I don't think Roster's cardio is going to hold up in the 3rd, 4th, or the 5th round. So I think that Edwards could go out there and win the later rounds and win a 48-47, a 49-46 decision, or he has shown that he can get knockouts recently as well. He did beat Silveira by decision, but Silveira is a wrestler, a similar matchup to this in my opinion. And Bakasanganai as well is a good win. He knocked him out, which is an epic victory. It's something we haven't really seen for a while from Edwards. So then we see how Edwards go out there, defend the takedowns of Roster. The argument you could make is that Edwards got lost to Eblin by decision, then got slept by Eblin. And these are very bad aging losses, because Eblin is kind of not really done anything. In fact, he actually lost to Costello Van Steenis in a decision he was actually about to win as well, which is kind of crazy. But like, this kind of does prove my point, right? Like, this is kind of something I'm starting to learn about these PFL at all guys. Bruno Ferreira probably waxes Johnny Eblin, and Bruno Ferreira is probably not even a top 20 guy in the UFC. And like, I know it's so much Kofian because I've spent so much time covering the PFL, covering Bellator. Like, this is where my channel got built, was because I was the only one covering Bellator. I was the only one covering PFL. But like, we're not watching like high level. Like, it's just crazy to me. I genuinely thought a lot of these guys were better than they actually are. It's insane. But I think that Edwards beats Roster. Yeah, I don't know why I went on that side tangent there, but you guys know what I mean. I'll see you guys in the next one, which will be my Contender Series Week 3 predictions, which I'll put out tomorrow.